Hey, Raiders fans. We are back with a deep dive into everything happening with our Las Vegas Raiders as we move through what has been a challenging season. Today, I want to break down why the Raiders are looking at one of the highest picks in the upcoming NFL draft and why the remaining games on the schedule make it very difficult to see a path to another win this year. As we enter Week 14, the Raiders sit with a record of 2 wins and 10 losses. And while we all love this team, it is hard to ignore the reality of the situation on the field. The Raiders are in a position where their record, combined with the remaining opponents, makes it almost certain that they will finish near the bottom of the league standings, and that has huge implications for the draft. Looking at the top 5 teams in the projected draft order, we have a mix of franchises fighting for playoff positioning and others struggling to find their footing. The Titans, Giants, Saints, and Raiders all have pivotal stretches ahead, but when you examine schedules and matchups, the Raiders' path to victory in the remaining 5 weeks appears extremely narrow. The only realistic chance for a win comes in Week 17 against the New York Giants, but even that is far from guaranteed. Denver, Philadelphia, Houston, and Kansas City are formidable opponents, and past performances this season indicate that the Raiders are unlikely to overcome these teams. It's not about wanting the team to lose. The reality is simply that the roster has struggled to find consistency, and the challenges ahead are substantial. For Raiders fans, this is a tough pill to swallow, but the upside of this situation comes in the form of potential draft positioning and the opportunity to attract a top-tier head coach who can reshape the team. At this stage, securing a top 2 pick in the draft could be crucial for the future of the franchise. A new head coach coming into Las Vegas will have the advantage of selecting the type of quarterback or key player that fits their system, and that can set the foundation for years to come. It's a strategic consideration that goes beyond the current losing streak. It's about positioning the team to compete at the highest level in the next era. The Titans, for example, present an interesting comparison. The Raiders beat Tennessee earlier in the season, but when it comes to draft positioning, the NFL considers strength of schedule. The Titans have a tougher path remaining than the Raiders, which means that if both teams finish with identical records, the Raiders would gain the edge in draft order. Analyzing the Titans' upcoming games shows that they have potential victories against certain opponents, but they face extremely strong teams like San Francisco and Kansas City, making even a 2-win finish uncertain. The Raiders' schedule, while brutal, puts them in a position where a top 2 pick seems inevitable if current trends continue. Turning to the New York Giants, they are another team to watch. They currently sit around the 2nd pick in the projected draft order and face a mixture of manageable and challenging opponents over the final weeks. They could realistically secure 1 or 2 wins, including their matchup against the Raiders in Week 17. However, when you consider the relative strength and momentum of both teams, the Raiders are likely to maintain their draft position above the Giants if things go as expected. The Giants' schedule is more winnable than the Raiders, but the Raiders' earlier performance, combined with NFL tiebreaker rules, still positions them favorably for a high draft pick. The New Orleans Saints are also in the mix, holding the 3rd spot in the draft projection. Their schedule includes several tough matchups, though some games could yield wins due to division dynamics and late-season adjustments. The Saints need just 1 victory in the final stretch to maintain their position, and while that is within reach, the Raiders' challenging opponents across the league reinforce the idea that Las Vegas is in a strong position to land a top selection. The combination of team struggles, strength of schedule comparisons, and remaining matchups all point to a scenario where the Raiders are effectively locked into a high draft pick without having to intentionally tank the season. Looking closer at the Raiders' remaining games, the outlook is clear. Victories against Denver, Philadelphia, Houston, or Kansas City are highly improbable. Even the potential win against the Giants is far from certain, making it realistic to project a finish with only 2 wins for the entire season. This may feel disheartening, but it opens opportunities in the draft that could change the team's trajectory for years. It's not just about losses. It's about positioning the franchise to bring in a new coach, select critical talent, and establish a foundation for long-term success. The upcoming draft could be transformative giving the Raiders leverage to acquire a quarterback or other key pieces that align with the vision of the incoming coaching staff. Every analysis of the schedule, opponents, and remaining games points in the same direction. The Raiders face an uphill battle to secure another win. Denver has been dominant at home. Philadelphia is firing on all cylinders. Houston's roster has depth and talent, and Kansas City remains one of the league's elite teams. The matchups simply do not favor Las Vegas, and the combination of these losses will almost certainly guarantee a top 2 draft position. It is a harsh reality for fans, but it also represents a strategic advantage moving forward. Even looking back at the wins earlier in the season, the Raiders' victories against the New England Patriots and Tennessee Titans are not necessarily predictive of future outcomes. The Patriots, now the top team in the AFC, and the Titans, who remain highly competitive, indicate that the team can perform at a high level under certain conditions. Yet, the consistency and depth required to sustain wins over the final stretch are not present. Strength of schedule calculations reinforce this, showing that the Raiders have one of the most difficult remaining paths in the league. In contrast, teams like the Titans, Saints, and Giants have schedules that may allow for wins even as the Raiders continue to struggle. Week 18 concludes the regular season against the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the league's most formidable teams. The Chiefs have been consistent, skilled, and difficult to defend against in nearly every aspect of the game. For the Raiders, this is less about hope for a win and more about the opportunity to gather insights. How does the team respond under pressure? Which players demonstrate resilience? Which aspects of the roster need reinforcement in the offseason? While the outcome may be predictable, the lessons gleaned from facing such a strong opponent are invaluable. It allows the coaching staff, whether current or incoming, to make informed decisions about draft priorities, free agent acquisitions, and long-term player development. In essence, this game is a barometer for the franchise's immediate future, a final chapter that sets the stage for transformation. Considering the draft implications, the Raiders are uniquely positioned. The combination of current performance, remaining schedule, and strength of schedule comparisons with teams like the Titans, Giants, and Saints places Las Vegas in a situation where securing a top 2 pick is almost guaranteed. This opens doors for critical acquisitions. A new head coach will arrive, not just with a team to mold, but with high draft leverage to bring a quarterback or key players who align with a strategic vision. For a franchise that has struggled with consistency, this is an extraordinary opportunity to redefine the team's identity. The draft pick represents more than just a player. It represents a chance to reset, rebuild, and compete at a higher level for years to come. Looking at the wider league context, teams like the Titans and Saints face similar, but slightly less challenging schedules. The Titans, despite having been beaten by the Raiders earlier in the season, have a harder remaining path, meaning even with a potential 2-win finish, the Raiders could still move ahead in draft order due to tiebreaker rules. The Saints, with only a few victories and some manageable matchups remaining, may secure a single additional win, but that is unlikely to disrupt the Raiders' draft position. The Giants, while capable of winning 1 or 2 games, still face challenges in Week 17 against the Raiders. Each team presents a variable, yet all factors converge in favor of Las Vegas, obtaining a high pick that could change the trajectory of the franchise. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what could be the start of a seismic shift in the NFL landscape, Maxx Crosby, the fierce defensive end who has become synonymous with the Raiders' relentless pass rush, has reportedly announced his intention to leave Las Vegas in a press conference that sent shockwaves through the football world. Sources close to the situation describe the atmosphere as tense yet electric, with Crosby's words hinting at ambitions beyond the silver and black, leaving fans and analysts alike scrambling to speculate on his next destination. Crosby, known for his uncanny ability to disrupt quarterbacks and dominate the trenches, has long been a cornerstone of the Raiders' defensive identity. His potential departure immediately raises questions about the team's strategy moving forward, especially as they contemplate a future without one of the league's most feared defensive forces. Whispers around NFL circles suggest multiple teams are already positioning themselves to make a run at acquiring him, though no official offers have surfaced. The intrigue is only heightened by the timing of the announcement, coming after a season that showcased Crosby at his peak, blending experience, athleticism, and an uncanny knack for game-changing plays. Fans took to social media in droves, with reactions ranging from disbelief to outright panic. Some lamented the possible end of an era in Las Vegas, while others speculated wildly on the markets and teams that could benefit from his talents. Meanwhile, pundits are dissecting the press conference footage frame by frame, reading between the lines for clues about Crosby's motivations, future plans, and whether this is the beginning of a free agency bidding war that could reshape the defensive landscape across the league. Though nothing is confirmed, the rumor mill is already spinning. Will he be lured to a perennial contender in search of a championship, or could he shock everyone by joining a team with a rebuilding roster eager for a defensive centerpiece? One thing is certain, wherever Maxx Crosby lands, the ripple effects will be felt across the NFL, and the Raiders, a franchise already no stranger to drama, may be bracing for one of the most significant departures in recent memory. Until then, speculation reigns, and the football world waits with bated breath. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video. Ultimately, this season underscores the need for a reset and a fresh approach in Las Vegas. The combination of tough matchups, a struggling roster, and strategic opportunities in the draft all converge to make the Raiders' position clear. They're in line for a top 2 pick, and this could be the key to unlocking the next chapter in the franchise's history. The remaining games, while challenging, highlight the urgency for organizational changes and the potential to secure a coach and key players who can lead the team back to contention. Every remaining matchup serves as a reminder of both the current struggles and the opportunities on the horizon for the Raiders. Now, as we dive deeper into what the rest of the season looks like for the Las Vegas Raiders, it's important to frame the remaining 5 games in terms of both opportunity and reality. Each week brings a matchup that tests every part of this team, from the quarterback position to the defensive line, and at this point, it's not just about winning games. It's about evaluating what pieces are truly competitive and where major adjustments need to happen. Week 14 kicks off with a tough challenge, and looking ahead, the Raiders will be facing opponents who are significantly more prepared and deeper in talent. The schedule reads like a gauntlet, and understanding this is key to predicting why a top 2 draft pick is almost inevitable. The team's current struggles on both sides of the ball are evident in every statistic, every yard gained or lost, and every defensive breakdown that has defined this season so far. Week 15 brings the Raiders up against a team that has been remarkably consistent on offense, and that will put the Raiders' defensive schemes to the ultimate test. The challenge is not just physical, it's mental. Players are battling fatigue, injuries, and the psychological weight of multiple losses in a row. It's a test of focus, resilience, and the ability to adapt mid-game, all of which have been areas where the Raiders have struggled. When you factor in the combination of an inconsistent offensive line, a quarterback still trying to find rhythm, and a defense that is often left on the field too long, it's clear why experts and fans alike are skeptical about another win this season. Every team on this remaining schedule is capable of exploiting weaknesses, and the Raiders will have to perform at near-perfect levels to even come close to competing. The Week 16 matchup is particularly brutal because it pits the Raiders against a team with one of the league's best quarterback-coach dynamics. This is a unit that consistently executes at a high level, and the Raiders' recent performance against teams with structured offenses does not inspire confidence. The offensive schemes will need to be creative, and the defense must find ways to disrupt timing and force turnovers, something that has been rare this season. Beyond strategy, the players themselves are feeling the pressure. Each game is an opportunity to prove themselves individually and collectively, but the mounting losses have created a sense of urgency that is palpable. The mental aspect of this sport cannot be underestimated, and as the Raiders prepare for this matchup, every detail will be scrutinized, from play calling to execution, because mistakes at this point could mean the difference between a competitive game and a blowout. Week 17, as previously mentioned, carries the most attention because it is against the New York Giants. This is more than just a game. It is effectively the last realistic chance to secure a victory in the season. The Giants, while struggling themselves, have been competitive in ways that suggest they can capitalize on a Raiders team that is exhausted, both physically and mentally. The matchup is critical because it not only affects the Raiders' record, but also directly impacts draft positioning. If the Raiders fail to win this game, the likelihood of a top 2 pick in the draft becomes nearly certain, which in turn affects future strategy, coaching hires, and potential player acquisitions. Fans may find themselves conflicted, wanting the team to perform well, yet recognizing that losing could strategically benefit the franchise. It is a nuanced situation that speaks to the complexity of managing a struggling team with long-term goals in mind.